Welcome to tonight's Finance Committee meeting. We're going over the posted agenda for April 3rd. We'll start with the review of minutes from the previous meeting. March 27th meeting. Does anybody have any questions on those minutes? Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
By Chris and second by Vinnie. Roll call. Well, wait a minute. Any discussion? No?
Yeah.
Roll call. Chucky.
Abstain.
Lauren.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Joycey.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Unanimous. Okay, I'm going to make a suggestion that we change the order. Since the fire chief is here, let's bring him up.
Thank you. Just a brief summary. I don't think you need it. Thank you.
Andy, do you want to start us off on Public Safety Subcommittee?
So we had a pre-subcommittee meeting on staffing maybe a month and a half ago. And then Vinnie and I met with the chief and the deputy chief maybe a week or two ago. And the chief is looking to realign a little bit so that there is a lieutenant at each of the two locations at any given time. Right? So that proposes to call for some promotions as set forth in the sheet that he just set forth. He's looking to promote 5 lieutenants to captain and 4 firefighters to lieutenants, which would create a salary adjustment. And he's also looking to obtain minimum staffing levels during the day, and he's looking for an overtime budget to ensure he has the minimum staffing. As I understand it, part of that concern has to do with ladder truck staffing. I'll let the chief speak further on that. And then, in addition to the other contractual costs, I'll let you take it from there, chief.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you. So, yes, it was a great lead-in. Thank you. Thank you, Andy. We're looking to fund a couple of initiatives this year in the budget. So, as he explained, the Birch Street Fire Station does not have supervisors that work shifts. I have one supervisor that works out of the downtown station here and is responsible to cover the town. I think now's the time that we really need to promote firefighters to lieutenants and then eventually to captains, and create a new rank in this department so that I have a captain and a lieutenant and, a complement of firefighters to respond to calls and to run more efficiently, I'd say, and to improve our effectiveness. That's what we're looking to do.
Now, Chief, these people who would be promoted, these are existing Milford firefighters, right?
There are no new hires in this
Right.
plan.
I'm just saying, but it's something we've always encouraged, is to hire from within.
I can only hire from within, so it's,
Oh, that makes it easy.
we're a civil service department, so all our promotions are from within, yes. So, and with that, and you alluded to the ladder truck, so when we have a minimum staffing complement, which happens quite a bit, that only allows for one person to be assigned to the ladder truck. What we want to do is try a strategic staffing model. So when are we busiest? Usually during the day. Can I predict when fires are? No, I can't. So this could happen at night. But we want to take the percentages and say, I need to put another person assigned to the ladder truck during the day, and I need overtime money to staff that. That's what we're looking to do. So when we had first, we met with the subcommittee a couple times, the overtime number was higher. We've cut $100,000 off of that proposal, and we're going to try and get by and try and fund that person for the day, for as long as we can.
Well, I think if you'd taken my suggestion of issuing a memo that said fires will only occur between Monday and Friday at 9 to 5, we could get over this.
We can try.
No, I applaud the effort, especially, I think it'll be very motivating for our firefighters to see promotions within the ranks and benefits, because having one person on a ladder truck, I don't understand how you do that.
It's something that we've always been able to accomplish. You know, we've been doing it this way for decades, but it's time to change and at least make, you know, a slight improvement that's, you know, by one person. Companies, if you look at fire companies, you're supposed to have a supervisor and 3 firefighters per company. So if you want to take the rescue truck out of the discussion, that's fine. We have 2 pumper engines, right, fire engines, and a ladder truck. Right there, that's 12 people. I don't have 12 people. On my best day, I have 10, and I split them between 4 trucks, not 3. So we're not asking for that, but we are asking to
Should be,
improve. Yeah, but
Mr. Chairman,
so you have to be realistic, right?
every conversation we have is, there's a school coming, there's a school coming, there's a school coming. Why don't we ever say, we need more firefighters, we need more policemen?
But we did.
Hey, we did, but we didn't address it.
No,
didn't-
we added 4 police officers 6
When?
years ago.
Oh, how long ago?
6.
Oh, 6. That's
And
great.
we've talked to the fire
When was
chief.
the last time we added firefighters?
Well, we talked to the fire chief that he needs to add 4 people.
I know he
to get
does.
a net 1. And isn't that the way it works?
Fire staffing is complicated, so I can try to explain it in the easiest terms possible. We have four 24-hour shifts.
Right.
Assigned to those shifts are 10 people. So in the new model, it'll be 8 firefighters and two supervisors. We drop down to as low as 8 people, and then we have to start filling back. So when you hire 4 people, 1 person goes to each shift. You get 1 more per shift, but you have to hire 4, or else over a period of time. Because if you're hiring 1 person, only 1 shift is going to benefit, because that 1 person goes to 1 shift. Doesn't work all the shifts.
But that's what I'm saying. We've got to work our budget so that we add people, but the net effect has to be 4 new firefighters or managers, but 4 new bodies to get 1.
Eventually, yes, but no, it's philosophical. If you prefer to hire people, that's helpful. If you provide overtime money, I can affect the same thing with no benefits. But sometimes there's different thoughts on overtime. I kind of view it as it's more inexpensive to pay overtime than it is to hire people. But you could argue that back and forth. If you give me enough overtime money, I can keep additional people on a shift without hiring people. So it's
And
all
that's
how you
the
wanna look at it.
discussion we should continue to have.
Sure.
Until all of a sudden, the balance tips, where you say, we're better off hiring 4 people and cutting the overtime.
Yes, and then that's a consideration also.
But we should just keep talking about it, because the day will come when you'll come before us and say, in 2 years, the model is going to be that I'm better off hiring 4 new firefighters. And then, as Chris says, we got to deal with it.
And I would really like to hire people, but I'm sensitive to what's going
Yeah.
on. So
Any questions?
I have something. I think we have to remember that if I'm not mistaken, Chief, those 8 firefighters and 2 supervisors are split between the 2 firehouses.
They are.
Okay,
David?
you're hiding back there.
Sorry. Chief, I'm just curious, have this new model been communicated to your staff yet? And if so, do you think there'll be any resistance for the overtime, meaning that you're not going to be able to have the capability to fill that time slot?
Right, so it would be more overtime and you're not actually hiring people, so you have less people that it divvies out to. I understand what you're asking. The union's in favor of this proposal, very much so in favor, because it's going to improve our safety. It gives more opportunities, right, for promotion. So at this point, I'm not hesitating with it, thinking, oh, I'm really going to, I'm going to burn them out or I'm going to overwork them. I don't think that's the case right now, especially when we're only doing it for 10 hours out of the shift instead of 24 hours. But it's something we'll have to keep an eye on, for sure.
So, Chief, you're saying the management is in favor of it, rank and file is in favor of it, and the union's in favor of it?
Yes. That's, yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, from a 5,000-foot standpoint, all the initiatives make sense to me, and I'll support this. I am concerned that it's a 10.5% increase in the budget. These are not sustainable kind of numbers, and hopefully this will be non-recurring, and to the extent additional staff are needed down the road, we'll have to figure out how that all works. But for today's purposes,
Yeah, and I think realistically, as we get closer to that tipping point, it's not you get all the same overtime for 3 people and you get 4 new people. We've got to have a really in-depth discussion as to when the balance tips, but luckily, not this year. Any other questions?
No, but I can tell you that I believe, Andy, if you're in agreement that the subcommittee, at least the 2 of us, do favor the proposal the chief is putting forward.
I just want to say we have one of the greatest fire departments in town, too. Especially, they're a great crew. I've had to use them a couple times where I didn't want to, but
Thank you.
they're there when you need them, and
Yeah, but even when you don't really need them, when Milford High needed a way of taking a picture of the class, I'll never forget, when we called down and asked, the whole crew, I guess 4 firefighters came up, ran the ladder up, and I was wondering, saying, why do I need 4? They said, because if there's a fire, we got to be together. We can't drive back to the firehouse and gather up the troops. But they came.
yeah, they're
And they helped out, 260 kids by helping take a class picture. So it's not just them doing their job. That we're paying them for. It's the extra that they do.
One last question, Mr. Chairman, and I told you I was going to ask it. Can you please tell me about the effect that Chris George has had on the IT department?
Absolutely. So we just experienced some great upgrades today. So new workstations, computers for the firefighters to do their report writing, new computers for the administration, which they were needed. They were really, they were outdated. And he's leading, I don't have the same restrictions as the police, right? So, but I can tell you this radio infrastructure project and the dispatch overhaul at the police station is going to be an enormous benefit to public safety communications.
Not to mention rewiring your whole thing.
And that too. Yes.
So his work's been invaluable.
Yes.
So we can retire the tin cans and the long strings between.
Well, you want to have a backup plan.
Recyclable.
So, I don't know.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Chief.
No problem.
So we're looking at overall a 10.5% increase to go to $6,246,910.
Why did it say 10%?
Zach, did I get the number right?
I'm sorry, it was.
6246910.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a
We
motion.
have a motion by Andy. We have Vinnie seconding it. Any other discussion?
Can you just hold on for a second, though? Because our sheet says 6% increase. I just want to make sure that we're working with the right number.
No, that's changed. It didn't include the retroactive pay raises. We had to
But the
adjust.
624, 6910 is on this sheet, though.
Yeah, but the prior year is off.
Oh, the prior year is off?
Should be 3 years running, David, of 5,325,407
All right.
for '23,
Thank you.
5,649,191 for '24, and then the 6,246,910 is '25.
Okay.
Just to explain that real quick, last year, or this current year in the 2024 budget, we had a retro that was appropriated in October that covered the previous year as well. So if you kind of smooth that out, that's where the 10.6% comes into play.
Cash flow-wise, it happened in 1 year,
Right.
It covers-
but from a cumulative point of view, it should have been split into 2. Because that's what, I mean, when we're going into contract year, and again, we got contracts coming up this year, we never put in what we expect to pay. Kind of hard to negotiate if somebody knows you got a 4% built in. So we leave it at flat, and then the following year, or whenever the town meeting comes up, we retro in what the numbers are. Any other questions? We have a favorable motion on the floor. Roll call. Chucky?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Joycey?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you, Chief, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Okay, the second item on the list,
Thanks, Chief.
we did not ask the police chief to come in tonight because he's scheduled for the 10th, but we've talked to him. He's cut some of the initiatives down, and I believe it was a 5% increase on everything but the cars that we should have dealt with in October of last year. We weren't ready to deal with them, so those were put off. So overall, it comes out to an 11% increase with the cars. Going forward, we will not be doing cars at the May meetings anymore because they're not emergencies and they're not special if we plan for them. In this case, it is special because we put it off. We should have done it in October. So it comes out a proposal of 8980883, and that includes all the special operations. For anybody who wants information, we did Milford TV. Thank you for taping the subcommittee meeting so that people who want to be well-informed on what the money's going to, because there was confusion over, a lot of people, myself included, remembered voting for a SWAT team to just take care of the school. Chief Tassino realized that he can get a lot more leverage by spreading them out as part of the police force. So the SWAT people became special operations, and we've got a program. I'm going to ask Mr. Abadanza to post it so that anybody wants to see what we're getting back for the $600,000 we invested. We'll have the data. Did I leave anything out, Andy?
No, I don't think so.
Motion? Second, to approve
The
police budget going to 8980883.
Who seconded the motion?
Vinnie. Roll call. Chucky.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Joycey.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous. Okay. Now, 411 Town Engineer, is that getting moved, Chris, to the 10th?
Yes, if possible, Mr. Chairman.
We'll just move it. Health Department, move to the 10th.
If possible, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay. Water Department? Oh, okay, then we'll take them now.
I think they were here for personnel board too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're talking about there now.
He was just there 5 minutes ago.
Zach, do we have any idea when the warrant's going to be voted on?
Monday,
So it should be ready for the 10th.
you'll have it for the 10th, yes.
Okay.
Is that it? Would you like me to talk about water?
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think Uncle Phil will feel slighted if you make his case.
Is anyone from the subcommittee here tonight? No?
Is this water?
Water.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Did you want to say anything?
Brent asked me, he has a conflict. The recommendation of the subcommittee is to accept its budget as is because 3 reasons. The expense budget year over year is down. Expected revenue will fully offset the expenses, and there's no net expense to the town.
I like that report.
With that being said, I make a motion to accept it, the subcommittee.
Yeah, I don't want to hear Zach. I'll second that.
Thank you, David.
Discussion. Zach?
Second it.
David.
David.
I'll give quick discussion, so real quick. One of the reasons is, as we know, when you have debt that large, each year the interest is going to fall off. So that happened this year, and any increases in the general expenses are really being absorbed by that, and that's the exact theory behind what we were trying to do here. So I think it's really good. It's a 4% increase that they're going to be voting for a rate increase. No use of retained earnings, because again, if you remember that schedule that we put out, we should be building retained earnings, and that should happen again. They're at about 2.8 million in retained, which is above where we projected, which is fantastic. So I think this looks like a really great budget, and more importantly, on point, if not better, than where we envisioned this.
Mr. Chairman,
Vinnie?
I had a question. When was the last rate increase
Last year.
last year? Because I've heard a lot of the people in my neighborhood complain to me, and I have a question tonight, which I've just done, as to why the rate has been increasing. Is it to build up a stabilization account in the water department? It's going to go up again this coming year.
You may recall, and during every presentation I ever gave when we were going to purchase this water company, we had a 5-year plan to increase rates 5% per year every consecutive year. There's 2 years of 5%, and this year they dropped it down to 4% because
Okay.
we are ahead of schedule. So I encourage them to continue with that schedule. Why? Because right now, with debt that large, if we all know that companies are very capital heavy, so we're not going to be able to bond in any time in the near future. So we need to be building up money to be able to handle capital projects, which can be extensive, and so far we're
And
on.
that is in a stabilization account, or are we just paying off debt?
Right, we don't have a stabilization just yet like we do for the sewer department, but we also don't have that level, so it's kind of unnecessary at this time.
Okay.
Real quick, we also use those ARPA funds, which are dried up now, and we also had the bond premium, which you will see a article on the warrant to use some of the remaining bond premium.
And what year are we in now of the increases?
Yeah, 3.
Three.
Mhm.
4% is a lot better than 28%, 30%.
Oh, I agree, I
I
agree.
think the confusion that came out was when people saw their rates jump,
Yeah.
20-some percent. It was, well, why did we buy this if our rates are going up? Because if we didn't, it would have been up 40%. So the increase was half of
Remember that
what
discussion, yes.
the private company was going to do. It's
A
still,
lot of the people were under the impression that the rates were going to drop quite a bit. But a lot of them now know, with the assumption of the different infrastructure repairs and whatever other incurred debts and so forth that we acquired, yeah, we got to pay it back.
I mean, realistically, I want to be young, thin, and have hair.
Me too.
At this point, that's not realistic. And assuming that the rates would go down is the same thing as me hoping to be young, thin, and have hair. It's just not realistic.
And it was also never proposed that way.
Well, no, they presented it that the increase from a public department would be much less than from a private, and they've come through. And I love the idea that they're coming forward with zero. Actually, it's going down a little bit. So, any other questions on water department? David?
No, I was going to ask Zach if he can speak to the chlorine smell issue, but that's been,
I cannot.
Wait a minute. Zach, finance, not chemist.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Andy,
I'll second it.
Vinnie seconded, I assume favorable.
Yes.
Yes.
Any other discussion?
Thanks, Zach.
So we would not invite them or ask them to come back if we accept this budget. Roll call, Chucky.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Joycey.
Yes.
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 Unanimous. 450, accepted. .510 Health Department.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke to Dan today, and he's requesting that you push that off until next week because he wants to be in here with Scott, coincide with highway. Because Scott's involved with the waste.
Waste collection.
Waste, yeah.
Okay. Chris, you have town engineer coming in next week?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Scotty at Highway's coming in next week?
Yes.
Waste and transfer station, I guess that's all coming together. That makes sense to have Dan and Scotty come in and just blitz through those. Senior Center. Do we have that? Yeah, we have that for next week.
I had it for tonight. Did that get moved?
It got moved. Somebody asked that that get moved to
They asked.
All right.
the 10th. Everything else is set.
Great job, Mr. Chairman, we're in a really good position.
It's a scary movie. In half an hour, we've gone through the whole agenda, except for any subcommittee reports.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Last week, there was a vote on the 352 Medicaid recovery. It was provisionally approved based on additional information. That information's been provided. Does it require a second vote or what?
No, the vote stood, and the idea was that if you came back with different information,
Yes.
we would reconsider, we might decide to reconsider. So depending on what you're going to present, if
I
we,
presented it to the committee by email.
well, why don't you give us a summary?
Well, Medicaid recovery purpose is for the school system to address expenses incurred in obtaining Medicaid reimbursements for the Milford students who qualify for Medicaid insurance coverage. Provides the school to seek repayment for providing medically necessary Medicaid services, which is a broad range of services. They also are able to collect reimbursement for related tuition, transportation, and staffing expenses. The school system retains the services of a company, Martin and DeBorder LLC, which is doing business as Educational Data Management Solutions, to process this information, which is, from what I can see, quite complicated and involved. You can imagine submitting paperwork to the federal government for Medicaid reimbursement. This $5,000 increase on this contractual line item is to cover anticipated expenses for the increase in Medicaid eligible students in the Milford school system. And before this increase is recognized, Milford was receiving an average of $350,000 to $450,000 back from Medicaid. Now with these additional students, which is incurring this additional cost in this $5,000 range, this should add another $150,000 to $200,000 in reimbursements from Medicaid. So as a result, with this discussion over $5,000 matter, Milford should recover total revenue of approximately $450,000 to $650,000 this year and next year, and that's every year that amount back to the general fund. Money well spent.
Always has been. Thank you for the
Cost
report.
benefit is ridiculous.
Just enough.
Good job, Mike.
Good job, Michael. The warrant articles aren't ready yet. We have a guest. Do we have invitation to speak? No speak? Okay. Update on Countryside? No new?
Nothing new.
Zach, anything you want to add that's happened in a week?
Yeah, I don't really have a significant update. I will have one for you next week. I would like to thank the committee. There's been a lot of hard work in a challenging year. I know everyone's been quite busy, so I certainly applaud that. And following next week, hope to wrap up the operational budget, and I'll update everybody where we stand in the big picture.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to hit the unused levy a little bit.
Yep.
And that,
It's looking that way, yes.
for this year, that's not a concern, but it is a concern because there's a school coming. And, you know, I mentioned before that we've been talking about keeping that unallocated levy at about 5 million so that a couple million comes off the long-term debt, 5 million of unclaimed, unused levy would give us 7 million that hopefully will tie us over in interest. But I do want people to understand that when we're saying unallocated levy, that's a tax increase. It's a fancy word that says if it's under our unallocated levy, we don't have to have a referendum. We don't have to use profanity of 2.5 override or debt exclusion, but it's still a tax increase. It's still, Paul, am I right, $80 a million? So by using up $5 million of levy, that adds $400 to the average tax bill.
Well, so I think, Mr. Chairman, since we have not done that in 10, 12 years, since we've started to create that, we have not tapped into it. So I just want
It's never been done.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. So I think it's about 10, 12 years since we started to develop that number, which started at 180,000, which we thought was the craziest number ever. That I just don't want anyone to know, or anyone to think, excuse me, that the slippery slope has started, that we can start to dip into this all the time. We're doing this because we are in hard financial times right now with the state for this year, and I'm sorry, next year, I've said it repeatedly, that it's a 2-year dip, but this is not going to be a repeated practice that I will stand for on this committee. And of course, when need be, Mr. Chairman, and you're exactly right, need be is now, but this will not be a regular practice without a huge fight from me and I think a lot of members on this committee. We built that up. We built it for a reason. We built it for a school. We built it for other things. This is not going to be the spigot that we're going to go to on a regular basis.
Fact is, you can't, because
Exactly.
once you open that spigot,
Exactly.
building it up is not an easy task.
Exactly, Mr. Chairman.
But again, we dodged 2 bullets, Brookside and Woodland, so that we're in reasonable positions. This is, of our fleet of 5 schools, this is the aircraft carrier. This is the biggest one because we're assuming, and it's a guess, that we're going to renovate and it's going to be $180-ish million, maybe a little more, not the $400 million to build a new school. Because at $400 million, if we build a new school, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Every financial model we've played with
Couldn't afford it.
breaks. And we've been always very conscious of adding anything in new taxes. We do when we have to, but we keep in mind that a lot of our people that built Milford, are living on Social Security, and adding $400 or whatever to their bill is a serious issue. Any other questions? Wow. 36 minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn is second by Vinnie. Motion to adjourn is not debatable. Roll call. Chucky?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Joycey?
Yes.
Andy?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
To those watching, if you haven't fallen asleep, thank you. Good night. And we'll do this again on the 10th, hopefully to wrap everything up. Good night, all. Thank you.